Hi, Sarah from Sewing Z, sewing patterns for children's clothes and accessories. Chances are you're here because you want to know how to sew the keyhole neck t-shirt. Just happened to have finished one. So here's our keyhole neck, which you can make smaller in this little V part if you want. And it has a scooped back, just enough to keep that bottom warm. Let's get sewing. So we've got the master pattern for the H G Keyhole T-shirt, and I've drafted size 2 out of Violin. I'm going to do something a little bit different this time. This pattern needs a facing, and so I've cut out the facing for the neck and the back, and I'm going to use that as a guide for sewing around the neckline, make it nice. I'm going to sew the shoulder seams for the back and front panels. I haven't sewn the other panel on yet. And we're going to pin on both sides and sew with stretch stitch. So we've sewn the facing, we're going to press the shoulder seams towards the front. Right, so we've pressed the shoulder seams and we're going to attach the, fuck me dad, why does it look like that? We're going to attach the lower half of the front to the top half of the front. Line up the pocket and the edges and the markings, pin, and pin across matching markings, corner of the pockets and the sides. So with stretch stitch. Now because I've used zigzag, the corners of the pockets aren't very precise. I'm going to use straight stitch to go a couple of centimetres each side of the corner, just to make it a nice crisp sharp corner. Won't affect the stretch of the shirt. So we've sewn the seam, we're going to press the seam down towards the bottom of the t-shirt. So I've pinned the facings together and I've left the Violin tracing pattern on, and I'm going to sew it to be able to follow the lines of the pattern with a fine zigzag stitch, and it can be torn away afterwards, it doesn't have to be left in the shirt. Right, so our facing is pinned on, and we're going to sew with a finer zigzag stitch that is 2 mils wide and each stitch is 2 mils long. We're going to follow the Violin all the way around. Right, so I've sewn with a fine zigzag stitch, and I'm just going to do the same as the pockets and do a little straight stitch around here to give that a nice clipped curve. I've just done the straight stitch to make it nice and tidy on your corner and your curve. It's quite wide, it'll be about 2 centimetres wide, this keyhole. If you want it the same as the actual pattern edge there, then I suggest you do that with a straight stitch to get a nice fine line. We're going to now take away the Violin and clip the seam, turn it and iron it. Neckline all pinned up, ready to sew. I'm going to sew about 1.5 centimetres away from the edge. Sew where you're happy with. I'm using top stitch so it zigzags underneath, and then I'm going to trim away the excess fabric. So I did a rounded facing top stitching. This is from the inside and I've trimmed it away. You can actually do a square one, and you can chalk a line to follow while you're top stitching with your stretch stitch. Okay, so now we're attaching the sleeve, and right side's facing. Make sure you pin at all the markings and pin in between. Sew your sleeve to the body of the t-shirt with stretch stitch. Okay, so with stretch stitch, and I've clipped at the curves to release the tension, and we're going to press the seam down the sleeve. Side seam with right sides facing, we're going to pin the front to the back and at the sleeve. Match your markings, so one is your side seam, lower edges, there's a mark at the waist and pin in between. Right, we're pinned, ready to sew, stretch stitch. Side seam sewn, press towards the back panel. Pin to the wrong side, a hem, 1.5 centimetres on both the sleeve and the lower body. Okay, the sleeve and the lower hem are all ready to top stitch, and I'm top stitching with a twin needle. It needs to be a stretch top stitch. And then we're done. We've finished our little H G Keyhole T. This one's for your little fisher person. Well, that's done. Thanks for watching how to sew the keyhole neck t-shirt. There's a link down below to the sewingz.com website. If you're interested in our range of children's patterns, please check them out. I love sharing the steps to sewing each pattern, just makes it easier for some of us that are very visual. Happy sewing!